An innocent farmer goes on a deadly mission to seek revenge for his mother's murder. Navigating the criminal underbelly, he soon learns about her troubled past. Spoiler ahead! Watch out! The movie begins in a hospital room where an elderly man named Leo is lying in his bed. He seems to be approaching the final stages of life. Just thereafter, an unknown woman reaches him and removes his oxygen mask. Leo suggests that he will die anyhow since his body is filled with incurable tumors. However, the woman has different plans. She pushes a food trolley on his neck and the screen goes black. We are next introduced to our main character, Donal, a middle-aged farmer. He is still single and lives with his mother. He spends most of his time reading newspapers, laboring in the fields, and hunting. Donal also has an interest in vehicles. He gets additional money by selling old reconditioned cars, plus has set up a garage to do his own repairs. Apart from that, Donal enjoys a close relationship with his mother, Florence. One day while reading a newspaper, she becomes unhappy, and Donal assumes she is sad because their neighbor has died. In actuality, though, she is aware of Leo's passing and that they have a past together. That evening, Donal relaxes at a pub. There, an intoxicated man becomes rude towards the bartender. He then makes fun of an elderly man, like Donal is still living alone with his mother, even calling him a silverback gorilla. When Donal tells him to calm down, the guy attempts to fight, but the bartender pushes him out. In the following scene, Donal heads directly to his garage and begins working on an old caravan. He repairs its damaged engine, paints it crimson, and gives it a completely new appearance. The next morning, he takes his mother to the garage and displays her his new vehicle. He proposes to take her to Montague, a beautiful beach where Florence and her late husband spent much of their early life. Yet, for an unknown reason, she gets frustrated and states that she is elderly and cannot go longer. She also requests her son not to waste so much time on this machinery, and Donal is distraught by her outburst because all he wanted was to make her happy. Florence returns to the trailer later that evening with more beers and comments on how much she likes the music he is playing. Donal then increases the song's level so she can hear it while in her room. He finishes the drinks one by one and falls asleep in the caravan. He then experiences a strange dream in which he finds himself going through the dark forest just as he stumbles across his mother, who strangely vacuums the ground. She glances at him and exclaims, "Help Donal!" Shock him out of his dream. He immediately runs to make sure of her safety and notices two unknown people immediately leave the house in a car. After this, he runs inside the house only to see his mother's bloodied body lying on the floor. Donal hurriedly takes his phone and contacts emergency services. In the following scene, the cops question a devastated Donal about the incident. They ask if he noticed anything unusual, and Donal says he saw two individuals leave in a car, one of whom looked to be a fancy-looking man. However, he didn't have any further information due to the extreme dark. After finishing his mother's funeral rites, Donal begins to carry on with his life. He attempts to get away from himself by spending most of the day in the field with his cattle. One night, when cleaning her sleeping area, Donal discovers a large sum of money under her mattress. He also discovers an old photograph of himself and his mother with a man and his daughter with the caption, "Me, Joe, and the kids." Yet then he suddenly hears a disturbance originating from the garage. Donal grabs his shotgun and moves there slowly when he notices a masked man in the darkness. The second attacker approaches from behind, holding him at gunpoint and demanding that he drop his weapon. Donal is told to stand on a stool and get hanged. The attackers quickly tie a string around him and drop the stool, but fortunately, the rope looks to have slacked. The armed invader orders him to wait in the corner, and Donal quickly gets a hammer and strikes back. He ultimately murders the person by repeatedly hitting his head. Donal turns his focus to the second guy and removes his mask. Donal then pressures him for details, and the man admits that they had been sent by some individuals to kill him, but he knows not much about them. Donal now wants to place matters into his own hands and figure out exactly who is to blame for everything. He tells the second guy to answer the deceased intruder's phone, and the last one is afraid to do so, lying that they have finished the task. We learn that the frightened thug is named Bartosz, and the one who died is Damien. Bartosz, concerned, asks whether he can see his sister now, and the individual on the other end gives him an address along with a time. Donal, who wants to know the truth, chooses to go there. Yet before anything else, he buries the dead on his property and drives to the specified spot along with tied-up Bartosz. Bartosz, who is shivering with anxiety, says that he is originally from Poland. He and Damien were assigned to murder Donal by a guy called Gavigan. However, he has no idea why. Gavigan is the exact same person he spoke with in the garage last night. Bartosz then reveals a disturbing truth. His sister, alongside numerous other girls, is being held captive by evil people, and he needs to comply with their demands. Donal, hearing all of this, feels terrible for the boy and suggests that they support each other. He explains that if Bartosz is telling the truth, his sister is going to be in danger because he has already failed his goal. Following that, the two continue their journey, finally arriving outside the provided address. As they plan their next move, Bartosz explains that his sister's real name is Kaja. Just then, a vehicle comes outside the place and a man leads a woman inside. Bartosz assumes it's his sister. As the boy enters the place, Donal immediately grabs his vintage shotgun and approaches him from behind. As soon as Bartosz enters the compound, he comes face to face with Gavigan. He claims Damien was supposed to meet him there and that they had finished the mission. However, Gavigan refuses to trust him without evidence. Here, Bartosz discovers that the girl seen earlier wasn't his sister and has been taken here for death. Gavigan harshly remarks that she attempted to escape, and as a result, her punishment is death. He soon begins to choke her, and another thug restricts Bartosz. Donal, on the opposite side, has managed to get access to the facilities. As he surveys the area, he discovers a collection of Polish passports that he brings alongside himself. Meanwhile, when Bartosz can't take it anymore, he discloses that Damien was slain by the farmer, but he was able to knock him down. Gavigan appreciates his honesty, yet he nonetheless violently kills the girl using a hammer. Following this, the other thug picks up her corpse and takes it to the storeroom. As soon as the man enters, Donal appears from behind and shuts the door from the outside. He then proceeds to the main hall and challenges Gavigan at gunpoint. Donal forces the man inside the caravan and knocks the man unconscious, following which they drive away. They quickly arrive in the middle of the woods, where Donal continues his questioning. He believes Trevor hired him to kill Donal. We then meet this boss for the first time. She turns out to be an affluent woman named Frankie. Trevor appears to be under her authority. He states that a man named Trevor hired him to kill Donal. However, he doesn't know why. When Donal asks if Trevor is a fancy-looking person, Gavigan confirms. This suggests Trevor is the one person to kill his mother. Donal then questions who the second person is, to which Gavigan responds that it is the boss. She is revealed to be an affluent woman named Frankie. Trevor appears to be under her command. Back in the woods, Donal leaves the van for a moment, while Gavigan fools Bartosz and escapes. Donal spots it and rushes after him. Moments later, Gavigan calls Trevor to provide an update on the situation. Frankie, who also observes the exchange, is enraged that they were unable to kill the farmer. Gavigan later jumps Bartosz from behind and almost murders him. However then, Donal arrives just in time, and Bartosz seeks revenge by slashing the guy twice. Gavigan decides to reveal Kaya's professional name, Alicia. He is secretly buried in the middle of the forest. Later, Donal travels to his Uncle Eamon's house to learn more about his mom, thinking she knows something he did not. Donal pulls out the earlier image and questions about it. He begins to reveal that the man who is in the picture is Florence's close friend, Joe Pierce. The small girl is Frankie, his daughter. Eamon reveals that Joe was killed decades ago by gangsters commanded by Leo. Florence attempted to rescue him by hiding him near a beach. However, he was ultimately caught and killed. Caught aback, Donal wonders why he hadn't been aware of everything this, and Eamon replies that his mother intended to keep him safe. That's why she left the city and moved to the countryside. When Donal returns to his caravan, Bartosz asks Donal to schedule an appointment with her and rescue her. He believes she can assist them in getting to Frankie and Trevor. Donal then pretended to be a customer and reserved a room with Kaya. Meanwhile, Frankie is at home when she receives a call from Trevor, informing her that they have found Bartosz's sister. After hanging up the phone, we see her reading the news about Leo's death. Donal, on the other hand, dresses up and arrives at the specified place, which shows out to be a large but vacant hotel. When he enters the room, he notices a guard at the entryway. Donal then wanders inside the main bedroom, where he eventually comes across Kaya. She appears to be afraid and eventually gets to talk to her brother. The two then work together to put down the guard. Donal then asks Kaya where Frankie is, but she pretends to be unaware of that. Donal discovers that Bartosz manipulated him in order to save his sister, so he begins beating the guard for information. As a result, the individual provides an address where they can locate Trevor. Donal and Kaya then prepare to go away, but Jerome arrives just as they do. This leads to a vicious fight between the two guys. Just in time, Kaya shoots Jerome to death with a gun. When Bartosz finally meets his sister, he is overjoyed, and the two hug lovingly before driving away in their caravan. Shortly after, Frankie and Trevor arrive in the exact same hotel room, only to discover Jerome's lifeless body. They also find the guard, who is badly wounded, and Frankie asks whether he revealed any information, to which the guy responds that he did not mention her. They then locate Trevor and follow him to a high-end area. When they eventually locate Frankie, Donal is about to kill her, but he chooses to wait until the evening after knowing that she has a daughter. He subsequently advises the younger ones to return home and hands them their passports along with some money. Donal goes to check on his uncle at night because he feels he is not safe. Unfortunately, it has already been too late. Uncle Eamon has been aggressively attacked and left to die. In the final minutes, he exposes an unexpected truth. Frankie's father, Joe Pierce, was a gangster who was in a relationship with Donal's mother. They kept their relationship covert because they both had separate families. They loved one another a lot, but Florence tricked Joe and turned him over to his rival, Leo, which led to his death. Uncle Eamon believes she did so to protect her son Donal after the gangsters threatened to kill him if she didn't comply. After confessing all of this, he dies, leaving Donal more puzzled. A few seconds later, Frankie and one of her thugs arrive at Eamon's residence, expecting to finally put a conclusion to the saga. However, Donal effortlessly defeats them. He knocks out the guy before holding Frankie hostage. Following that, we get directed to the Polish siblings who are spotted sleeping at a hotel. They are about to leave for their hometown the next day, but Bartosz feels bad about not being able to support Donal, so he picks up his gun and goes out. A little later, Bartosz visits Uncle Eamon's house to find out whether Donal is there. Unfortunately, he ends up captured by Trevor, who has also come pursuing Donal. Meanwhile, we hear that Donal has taken Frankie to the beach where her father was killed. He digs up a grave and prepares to bury her there. Frankie proceeds to share the truth. She met Leo in the hospital a few days earlier and planned to kill him, given that she thought he was in charge of her father Joe's death. However, Leo revealed that by the time he got to the beach, Joe Pierce had already died. Florence herself summoned Leo to the scene, he claims. When the cops arrived, Leo was falsely accused of murder. Donal refuses to accept her words until Frankie confesses that she had interacted with Florence before her death. The movie then moves into a flashback to the deadly night when the old lady died. Florence claimed that she was deeply in love with Joe, enough so that she prioritized him beyond her own family. However, when Joe refuses to leave his family for her and attempts to terminate things, Florence tries to stop him by aiming his own gun at him, but accidentally shoots him. Even now, she regrets what she did. Unfortunately, Frankie gets angry that her innocent father was killed without any cause, so she attacks the elderly woman's head and kills her as well. In the present, Frankie begs Donal to let her leave. She says that if he kills her, her daughter will end up orphaned, just like she was when her father died. This finally impacts Donal's mind, and he chooses to leave her. However, as he walks away, the woman attacks him behind his back with a shovel. She then goes to the caravan, frees her shackles, and grabs her gun, intending to kill Donal. But suddenly, Donal appears and murders her first. In the final scene, Donal receives a call from Bartosz. However, Trevor answers the phone and inquires as to Frankie's location. When Donal admits to killing her, Trevor attempts to do the same thing with Bartosz. Donal asks him not to do so, even offering that he give himself up. However, a gunshot is heard over the phone, announcing that the poor youngster has been killed. The movie concludes with Donal calling emergency services, but hanging up without speaking, likely intending to take matters into his own hands. We really hope you enjoyed today's recap of the movie Bad Day for the Cut. Please leave a comment below on what you loved about the movie and why. Be sure to like the video, and please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing so you don't miss any amazing content. Until next time, light, camera, action. We look forward to seeing you in our next video.